I'm Faith Buffarelli, and I'm here with
Angie Winkle.
And she's going to tell you a bit about herself. She is a...
So I am an ICU nurse. I've been doing it for about 24 years now.
All right. And when did you decide to become a nurse? How old were you?
After I graduated from high school, one of my good friends was killed in a car accident, and I was there when it happened. And I, at that point, wasn't really sure what direction I was going to go. I knew that I always loved science and was interested in healthcare and helping people and whatnot. But I decided at that point I never wanted to have that helpless feeling again. And so that really kind of pushed me in that direction after that event.
So what has work been like with COVID-19? What are some extra steps you have to do that you wouldn't normally do?
Yeah, so COVID-19 has definitely affected our work. We have to basically separate those patients from the rest of our patients, and we do a lot of like kidney transplant patients that are immunocompromised. Obviously, you wouldn't want them in the same area. So our unit is about the size of a football field, and it's divided into 4 pods. And so we basically have sectioned off 2 of the pods for like the dirty pods, and then 2 of the pods for the clean pods. But workflow-wise, it's really difficult because we have to basically spread out our resources. So normally if our census is on the lower side, we consolidate so that we've got more nurses in that area. And now basically you're on your own island, so to speak. And obviously the donning and doffing with the PPE is really challenging, really time-consuming. If you have an emergency, it delays you being able to actually respond to that patient in distress or whatever is going on in the room, whether it's pumps alarming or whatever, because you have to make sure that you're safe before you go in the room. I would say we've lost a fair amount of nurses since COVID-19 hit. Moral distress, just the stress of the world right now, and worried about potentially, obviously, bringing something home to their families.
What is your favorite thing about being a nurse?
My favorite thing is that I'm never bored. I learn something new every day, for sure. I'm challenged. I love the people I work with. They're awesome. We've got a major... Our unit has a really good culture as far as teamwork and camaraderie, so even when we have like the worst shift ever, you can get through it because you've got awesome people around you. And we've got, we have a lot of good success stories too. I mean, it's some of the stuff that we do in critical care is obviously not a good outcome, but we have some really great saves too, and that kind of recharges your batteries, so to speak, when those happen.
What did you have to do in order to become a nurse? So you did 4 years at college, but like what after? Like what certain programs did you have to do?
Yeah, so once I graduated with my BSN, I just did regular med-surg nursing for a couple of years just to kind of get my feet wet and get my organizational skills down. And then I applied for the consortium, which is like a critical care internship, basically. So you're doing both classroom stuff, plus you're doing on-site clinical preceptorship with an experienced ICU nurse. And I think it was about 3 months. I mean, it's been 24 years, so it's been a while, but that actually gave me all of those skills that I needed to kind of get started into critical care.
All right. What kind of person would you recommend for this job?
I think it takes a great deal of patience, for one. I think that you have to have a fair amount of resiliency, especially right now. I would say those are the people that I see that are leaving the field are the ones that don't have that resiliency. Obviously compassion, obviously the drive, and there's, it's endless learning, so you have to have that motivation as well.
So is your job competitive to get?
As far as nursing in general, not as much anymore, I would say, than when I first started. I actually had to move out of state to get my first nursing job because there was nothing here as a new grad. That's why I moved to Arizona for a couple of years. As far as getting into critical care, yes, very competitive. I can honestly only think of maybe 4 people that we've ever hired as new grads over the course of my 24 years. So we generally like people that have gotten at least a few years of experience under their belt, and then we interview them for like a what we call a transition position. So it's somebody that has some nursing experience at least, and then we train them to be ICU nurses.
All right.
And those positions are hard to get.
Do you interview people?
I do.
Oh, okay.
I do.
What would you tell somebody who wanted to be in your position and have your job?
I would tell them definitely to get hopefully some sort of a cardiac unit, med-surg unit, so that you've got those telemetry skills down, because that's a huge part of our job. Those that have come in with like just regular med-surg positions have struggled a bit. So I would say if you could get a couple years of just like a telemetry unit, get your organizational skills down, get your rhythms down, that would set you up for success.
All right. Is there any other jobs you can do with like the schooling you have now, like any other like besides ER nursing?
No, absolutely. I mean, that's the great thing about nursing, and I don't plan to keep doing what I'm doing right now, indefinitely. More so now, probably, than if you would have asked me a year ago. And that's the great thing about nursing, is that there is a whole diversity of areas that you can go into. You know, you can do the 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. You can do the 3 12-hour shifts. You can do anything. It's endless, really, which is really great. It gives you a lot of flexibility, especially like when the kids were little. I worked night shift because I could be home and I could get them off the bus. I could be home for dinner. Now that they're a little older, I can do day shift and, you know, get some sleep.
So it's a good job for families.
Great job for families. Gives you a ton of flexibility. Yeah.
What other professions do you work with besides doctors, if there is any? Like, do you work with any other people?
Oh yeah, no, it's a whole interdisciplinary team. So it's we work really close with the respiratory therapists. We have ICU intensivists. We're a teaching hospital, so we work with residents. So we're basically teaching them. I feel like I'm mom half the time. We have dietitians. We have physical therapy. We have occupational therapy. Yeah, it's endless, honestly.
How are you under pressure?
I'm actually really calm and cool. That's probably one of my biggest strengths, honestly. At least that's what I get complimented for the most. And that's probably why I've been able to deal with this for as long as I have.
What do you think is your greatest strength as a nurse?
I would say my greatest strength as a nurse, clinical expertise, definitely, just because I've been doing it for a long time. I feel like I have a really good rapport with my staff. I'm well respected. I'm very collaborative with them, and so I think that has gone a long ways.
All right, and my last question is, what is the most rewarding thing about being a nurse?
The most rewarding thing about being a nurse, I think, just at the end of the day, feeling like you made somebody, I mean, we can't always obviously cure everyone, but at least we made them comfortable, we made them feel safe, we made them feel cared about, we supported that family. Those are the kind of things that kind of get me through those tough situations. And then, of course, like I said, sometimes we have great saves, and that feels really great too. So it sort of depends on the day. Every day is a little bit different. Some days I come home and I feel defeated, and other days I come home and I feel really great about what I've done.
Okay, well, thank you for watching, and thank you for talking with me.
Of course.
Yeah.